This is one of the top 3 qualities. Out of all of the 10, this is at the top. So we're going to be going into 2025, God willing, talking about this one quality right here. If we are going to be honest about it and just keeping it 100, they are totally. It's the first Tuesday of the month, you guys, and for those who are a regular part of the Leet Nation, y'all know what time it is. It's time for RPG Elite Philosophy for Life. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, you might not know what all of that is. So let me give you the cliff notes really quick and what you can expect in this video. RPG Elite, the whole network really, is founded on 4 pillars. One of those pillars is non-fantasy or alternative genre tabletop RPGs, so we talk about that. We do classic tabletop RPGs, which in the last couple of weeks, I've told you guys that we're going to change that up a little bit, but we're still going to keep classic info coming here on the channel when it comes to classic tabletop RPGs. Family-friendly board games and tabletop RPGs, so we're kind of doing a kind of connectedness when it comes to that. But those things that you can clearly and openly play with the whole family. And probably the number 1 pillar, a cornerstone, so to speak, would be RPG Elite Philosophy. Now, I have, I believe, over 30 or something videos on RPG Elite Philosophy in terms of the 10 qualities an RPG Elite has. And it's a mindset and approach to tabletop RPGs. And like I said, just for the tabletop RPG portion of it, I think it's like 30 something videos. But I decided that after we got done with that, because we've been doing this for years, y'all, that we were going to switch it up. And I wanted to look at the foundation of all of those qualities. And as I looked at them, I realized that these things are founded on things that you can actually inculcate into your lives. So now we're doing a new series called RPG Elite Philosophy for Life. Now we just got finished with quality number 7 last month. And so now we're on a new quality. And this particular quality is one of the top 3 qualities out of the 10. Shoot, I would say it's the number 1 quality out of those 10. Or is very close to being number 1, or there are a lot of ties going on in there. So let's get to this quality as it was originally presented as an RPG Elite Philosophy quality. And then let's see how we can look at this from the perspective of living our lives. RPG Elite quality number 8 says, it's not about the system, it's about the story. Now, when I did the original series on this for tabletop RPGs, it was 4 videos long. Now, I'm going to say that it's probably going to be at least 3 for this. It's probably going to be more, because the more that I research this and everything, it's just so much here, and I can't cover every nuance, obviously. So I'm just going to try to cover kind of like these major points, but it's going to be a few videos. So we're going to be going into 2025, God willing, talking about this one quality right here. And so let's take a look at this first by defining story. Because, okay, when we talk about story, there are like a lot of different definitions. Like when I was looking into this, the definitions of it was like, I was looking at this guy who was teaching this at a university, and he said that there was a guy who was doing research on this, and he came across 82 different definitions of story. So we're just going to add another, number 83, because I'm going to define story in the way that I want to define story in reference to what we are talking about for this particular quality. But let's define story first. A story is an account of the details in a series of events or incidents involving a person or persons that invoke interest, empathy, and or contemplation. Now, one of the key elements of that definition is persons or person. So it doesn't necessarily mean human, it just means a person. So in different stories, you might have like Charlotte's Web or Animal Farm or stuff like that. The persons in that are personified animals. In some stories, it's different elements like the wind or something like that, but they've been personified in those stories. So they are given personhood. Because folks, if you do not have a person, you do not have a story. What you have is a setting maybe, or you might just have only a description, but it's not a story until you add a person to it. And it can't just be a person for person's sakes, but then it's just a listing. This happened, this happened, this happened. That's not a story. It's different. Remember, story invokes interest, empathy, and contemplation. So there's something going on in the human spirit and in the human heart when a story is actually a story. Now, with that definition, we know that every human then has a story, because every human is a person. And that is because we live. Because we live, and in this context, what I'm talking about as far as living is, we have life, we have being, we are persons, and therefore there is a story. We find this in the words that we use about ourselves. For example, when we look at the word history. All right, let's break that word down etymologically, okay? So it comes from the root Greek word histor. Now, that means a learned man. And then over time, like I said, etymologically, it developed to Latin. But Latin changed it up a little bit into historia. And historia means knowledge acquired through inquiry. Or another way that we would say that today in the form of a question is, what happened? And so now we have this definition of story. So our whole existence as humans is connected to story. Folklore is nothing but stories handed down. And some of those stories aren't just stories. They're true, or they have elements of the truth in it. Even in fictional accounts, there is interest, there is empathy, and there is contemplation, or there's at least one of those. And the really good stories have all three elements. I like what Lisa Crone said. She wrote a book called Wired for Story, and listen to how she looks at story. Story, as it turns out, was crucial to our evolution, more so than opposable thumbs. Opposable thumbs let us hang on. Story told us what to hang on to. Now, I think people inherently and intuitively, or those who are sensitive to it and have some discernment, know that they have a story. Everyone does. I mean, we call them in a prose form memoirs. And some people want to write those out. So everybody has a story. But there are a lot of people who are just not self-aware about their stories. And really, once you get into this idea of those who are aware and who are not, then you have these two sides, or these two types of people that they fall into, two categories. Let's look at those. So one of these two sides are active. It means that they know and are cognizant of their story, and they live in that awareness. Then you have the other side. And the other side, on a good day, are passive about their own story. But if we are going to be honest about it and just keeping it 100, they are totally oblivious to their own story. This all makes a difference as far as living our own stories. Because the ones who are active, they actually live their stories. The ones who are passive and or oblivious, they simply exist. You have one side that actually is active and writing their own stories, and you have another side who actually the story happens to them, but really technically they're still writing their own stories. They just want to think that they are just under the forces of others, and we'll talk about this in a second. So let's define these ones who are active. So they understand and they know that, yes, I am living. The choices that I make are real. And I'm living within this realm of reality. And within these parameters, I have myriad different choices, different things that I can do all over the place. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We all have these choices that we can make. And we all do make these choices. But they understand that, and so they actively make these choices and they write their own stories. However, like I said, you have the other side. And the other side, since they're oblivious, believe that all these external forces that's coming in at them are the reason that their story is so bad. And so they blame external forces for the plight of their story. They don't take control of their own story and go to write their own story. They just cry, whine, moan, and complain about it and say, woe is me. And that is their whole attitude about their story. While the active person is trying to overcome anything that comes in their way. Because, hey, let's be honest, right? There's things that happen in our lives by the absolute sovereignty and providence of God. Let's do a little experiment. Okay, what's going to happen tomorrow? No, I mean, what is going to happen for sure tomorrow? And I'm just going to keep it one, just in your life. What do you know bona fide for a fact that will happen tomorrow? Every detail. Yeah, if you're being honest, the answer to that is, I don't know. Now we can plan for tomorrow, right? But that's all we can do because tomorrow's not here. Because the only thing that we have is now. The future's not here and the past is gone. The only thing we have control over is now. So the best way to try to predict the future, and I think it was Abraham Lincoln that said this, is to write it ourselves by living right now. Because that's all we got. That's all we got control over is what is right now. Now, I'm going to talk further about that later on in this series. But those are the two kinds of people. You have the people who are writing their own stories, and you have the people who are complaining about their own stories. And you have those who are victors and overcomers and the obstacles and the things that happen in their lives that are out of their control. And you have those who cry, whine, moan, and complain about them and are victims. And let me ask you a question. So if you are on the outside looking in and you're a fly on the wall, which one of those stories do you actually want to witness and watch? Which one is actually going to be interesting, that you're going to have some empathy and that will make you contemplate? Just think about that. Wow, we have got so much to cover. There's a whole bunch of extra stuff that is on the kind of script that I wrote out. And we're not going to be able to get to it today. So we're probably going to go beyond those 3 videos that I estimated at the beginning. But oh well, we'll have enough content for the RPG Elite philosophy also. Hey, if you got any value out of this video at all, folks, anything, any small little nugget that you got out of this, then could you go ahead and do a brother a solid, just a little kind, and could you just crush that like button? Quack, quack. Also, if you want to stick around, this is your first time, or just, you know, maybe that you just watch my videos, but you haven't decided to take the plunge. Well, take the plunge right now, become part of the Leet Nation, and just hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Well, here it comes, y'all. For those who know, question of the vid is a simple one. What category do you fall into of the two sides? And why do you think that you are part of that side? Are you one that is active in terms of your story and life, and you're really trying to live it? Or you are one of these over here who are passive, most of the time oblivious, and not really living, just existing? A popular phrase for these over here is that, well, I'm surviving. Really? That's how you want to be? Man, that's horrible. That's a ghastly way to live, if that's even can be considered living at all. But let me know what side, and not only what side you think, like, give me some details. Like, why do you think that you're on that side? Let's do that. Let's get it going down in the comments below. Get some engagement going, get some talking back and forth going. I like to read you guys' comments because I do read them. And that'll be it. And that means that I got to get out of here and do my snaggle push.
So exit, stage left.
Hey, y'all, if you've got a game going on this week, then happy gaming. I pray it is an RPG Elite session that's more immersive and enjoyable and meaningful. So until next time, God willing, it's your boy Servant in the hizzy, and I gots to tell you, if you did miss any of my videos, go ahead, take a look at them here. But until the next time, I gotta say, peace! 5,000 leets! That's right, I'm out.